Hi everyone. Today's discussion, I'm going to cover something very interesting. That is, how can you make your Dynamics 365 finance and operations X++ program be talking to your Copilot Studio agents, agentic instructions. So you want to perform some kind of business activity as along with your standard MCP calls. So how can you enable your classes, your business execution logic to be enabled as tools to your Copilot Studio agents? And how can you make your commands, your syntaxes of X++ be flowing to your Copilot Studio agents in a step-by-step manner? So requesting you to be with me till the end of this video. And if you have not already subscribed to my channel, please feel free to do so. All right. So in this example, I have created a very simple agent, which I am creating as in the name of Porchman. And what it is going to do is that I have provided some very basic instructions to it. So the instructions, like, I have asked it to grab the details of purchase order creation and asking the user to provide all the details of a purchase order creation, and repeatedly ask the user, like, if they want to provide more lines, if they want to add more lines. If not, they can go for approving the purchase order. So if the purchase order is already approved, which you can control by change management. So if the purchase order is already approved when it is created, then just ignore this step, or else you can ask the purchase order to be submitted to workflow. If the user wants to submit the purchase order to workflow, then the user must ascertain to provide some kind of a comment. And then I'm calling a tool, which is purchase order workflow submit, which I have given a name like this. And I'm passing on the inputs as parameters. It's so simple. You see, I'm just passing on the entered inputs as parameters to this tool. Then wait for the approval of the purchase order. And if the approval, if the approver has already approved the purchase order, then the agent should pass on the control to the confirmation. So the agent is going to ask the user, like, if they want to confirm the purchase order, how can they do that? Is that I have called another tool known as PO confirmation, and then I'm passing on the purchase order number, which I have obtained from step one, that is first step. I'm passing it on in this step into this tool. Finally, I'm asking that if the user sees that step is successful, then the agent should ask, like, if the user wants to receive the purchase order. And for that, I have created yet another tool known as PO receive. And I'm passing on the packing slip ID. I'm asking the user to provide the packing slip ID and passing it on as a parameter, and then executing this tool and waiting for the execution to be over. So you see, it's very simple. I have just created certain classes which are known as the custom API type of classes. And then I am calling those API classes in Power Apps by registering them as Power Apps API and Power Apps API parameters. And finally, I am adding those API as tools to this agent, and then I'm passing on my instructions to that tools. So let me go step by step and requesting you to watch this video till the end. All right, let me start with, in Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations, there is a feature known as Preview Custom API Generation. You have to turn this on. You have to ensure that this is enabled. All right. And with that, let me take you to the code. So I have written three very simple classes. One that is going to submit the purchase order into a workflow, and then another that is going to confirm the purchase order, and the third one that is going to receive the purchase order. So I have created three menu items corresponding to these three of these classes.
just ensure that the menu items that you're going to create, that should also have the same name as the other classes. Okay. And then I've created the privileges and the security role for each of these three menu items. So the first menu item, say for example, if I take you to the first menu item, that is submission to the workflow. So this is a very simple class which implements iCustomAPI, this interface. You have to implement this, and then I have ornamented the class with these signatures, the signature that says the name of the, the name of the Copilot activity, the Copilot, how would I say, like Copilot activity, or I can also say it like the Copilot plugin that you are going to create the name of it, and the activity that actually is going to do a description for that. So with that, I am also passing the AI plugin operation attribute, and I'm also mentioning this as a data contract. So with these three, you have to mention these three signatures, and you have to implement the iCustomAPI. Then I am creating the necessary, you see these three parameters that I would be needing. The first is for the purchase ID. Obviously, I need the purchase ID. And then I need the comment for the purchase order submission. And then finally, I have to implement a run method. If I don't implement the run, iCustomAPI always ensures that your class should have a run method in it. So this method is very simple. As you can see, it simply submits the record to a workflow by calling the corresponding workflow type str, the workflow template. And I'm just passing on the comment as a parameter, and that's it. It's done. It's going to call the workflow work item action for subsequent processing. Then I've done similarly something very, very similar for the receiving of the purchase order. Okay, the same way I have declared the same set of three parameters. I would say rather same set of three signatures, and I've also mentioned the packing slip ID as a parameter that the user is going to supply, and the purchase ID that is necessary for for selecting the purchase order. And then I'm simply calling the standard class for purchase order, that here I am selecting update all in this case. But yes, of course, you can also make it more granularized. Like you can call, if you are having 10 quantities and you want to do a packing slip of 3 quantities out of them, you can also do a partial packing slip, a partial receipt of your packing slip. You can also do that. And that's it. And lastly, I also have created a confirmation class, which is something similar, the same three set of signatures, and the run method. And the run method, inside this run method, I'm simply calling the, basically it's doing a kind of an approval. It's simply ascertaining that the document state is already not approved. And then it is simply, I'm calling the purchase order form letter, and then I'm just passing on the class for processing of the confirmation. That's it. So these are pretty standard classes. I'm just going to do a compilation, a build of this, and then I'm going to go to the extension and just going to do the deployment to the online environment. So here I'm just going to select the, the model element which I am going to use. So just ensure that you have selected both the deploy and DB sync, and just it's going to take a lot of time. Just be patient. And once the deployment is over, your online environment is going to come back online, and you can resume back to your Copilot Studio and Power Apps. So once this is done, let me take you back to my make.powerapps.com, and inside my powerapps.com, I have to select the correct solution, the correct environment. For me, this is the environment which I have going to use. You can select or you can create your new solution. I always prefer to create my own solution so that it becomes very easy to keep both my components of my solution as well as my Copilot Studio under one roof. And also, just if you create a new solution, I also prefer to choose my own subscriber, own publisher. So say for example, I create a new publisher of my own and I create a prefix. So you have to record the prefix that you are going to use, and that's it. Then you can create your own solution, and it is going to take a couple of moments to get your new solution ready. So inside my new solution, I will be taking you to the the object types. So here inside, I have if you see, like, give some time. Let's give it some time to get it loaded. And you see here inside custom API, I've created the 3 custom APIs, one for submitting the component, submitting the record to the workflow. Another is for receiving of the purchase order. Another is for the confirmation of the purchase order. It's very simple. If I go to the new and inside my more and inside my others, I can see, if I go all the way down, I can see the custom API. So I'm just need to select the custom API out here and just need to fill up this small wizard, this form that's going to come up. I need to fill this up. It's going to take a couple of moments to get loaded. So all you have to do is to fill up certain important input parameters. Say, for example, you have to give a unique name. You have to give a display name, a proper display name, that what you want to keep the display name as. And then you also have to select the plugin type, which is, for our case, is going to be Finance and Operation, Dynamics 365 Finance and Operation API. So you have to just save and close. That's it. So if I can show you what I have created for, what I have used for an already existing one. So for example, this one, I'm just reloading this, just opening this once again. And you see these are the inputs that I've provided, that this is the name of my publisher. This is very important, that whatever publishers, the prefix that you have created at the time of creation of the solution, you should record it somewhere. And then you have to give a display name and a proper description, and you have to give the correct plugin type, which as I was saying, that Microsoft Dynamics.fno.copilot plugins invoke FNO custom API. This is very important. If you don't do that, what will happen is that the tool that you are going to create in Dynamics Copilot Studio, it won't be able to recognize. So once these 3 sets are done, I am just going to create the corresponding custom API request parameters. So this is also very simple. All you need to do is that you need to go to new, more, and inside others, you select custom API parameters, which is all the way down, custom API request parameters. So this is an incoming request parameter. Also, if you want to give something back to the user, you need to select custom API response property. Okay, so here in our case, custom API request parameter, I need to select this. So say, for example, if I open any one of this, say, for example, comment as in the purchase order workflow submission. So this was, if I open this, you should be able to see the details of the forms. The owner is no name. That's fine. That you can ignore, because I have not given a name of myself for my user. And here is the custom API that I have created. You need to choose this. You need to choose this from the available list of the custom API. The unique name, you have to give a unique name. The name should be equal to your unique name. Ideally, you have to give a display name, a proper display name, and a description, which are very mandatory fields, and the type of your input parameters, that is string. Is optional is very important. Like, you want to keep this parameter as an optional parameter or a mandatory parameter. So in my case, it is not an optional parameter. That's why I have kept it as no. Okay. So once these are all done, I'm coming back to here. Then finally, I need to go back to my Microsoft Copilot Studio, and I am going to add these things as tools. The API that I've created, I have to add them up as a tool. This is the most twisted yet the most quirky part of the whole story. So what I will do is that I will show you this cool hack. Let this get loaded. It's going to take a couple of moments. Okay, so finally this got loaded, and I can simply go to add a tool, and you see I simply need to go to the connectors. Okay, so here inside my connectors, I am going to choose Microsoft Dataverse as my connector, and then perform an unbound action in a Power Platform environment. So I have to choose this option out here. So once this gets loaded, the rest of the part is very, very simple. And what I'm going to do is that I need to select add and configure. Obviously, you have to choose the proper connection. So say for example, I've chosen the AI Hub connection because this is what I would prefer to use in my connections. And it's just going to take a couple of moments to do all the validations and get you added as a tool to Copilot Studio agent. So it's saying, you see, it's saying in a blurry notification that your request completed successfully and your tool was added to an agent. So here you have to give, in the input section, you have to give the additional details. Say for example, okay, so before that, in the details section, you have to give a proper name. Say for example, your receipt, and you have to give a description to your activity, what your tool is actually doing. And then in the input section, you have to do certain selections properly. Say for example, I have to select custom instead of field with API. I have to select custom and choose an environment. You have to choose from here. You can choose your environment directly, like Dymagic Phase 2 is my environment, but basically Microsoft always recommends to go with the current. So whatever that is going to give you a dynamic selection, like whatever tool it is subscribed to, it whatever tool in whichever environment it is going to be, you are going to get it connected to, get it created to, it's going to automatically choose that particular environment. You don't need to change the environment again and again. Okay, and then in the action name, again I have to choose the custom action name, and from here just you need to do a refresh, and it's going to take a couple of moments to get the list of the the APIs that are available. So if you remember that I have already created an API, in fact 3 APIs. So if I go all the way down to my prefix, in my case was CR666. So if I go all the way down, I should be able to see the these are the three APIs that I've created. So I'm not creating again because I already have created all those 3 APIs. So I can choose from here directly. I can choose from here, so that I'm just going to select any one of them. Purchase order receipt or purchase order submission. Say for example, if I'm going to choose again purchase a submission from Copilot, just it's going to enable you to select your inputs also along with it. So I'm just clicking this. It's going to take a while. Yeah, it got added in the input. So here inside you see in the input, I can click on this input and I'd see the couple of parameters that I've added that also have got they are also getting prompted here. So I can add both of this. So this one I'm selecting first of all, and also I'm selecting the second one. The 2 parameters I'm just adding them out here, and so that in my additional details I need to provide the additional details of these parameters, the input parameters. So it's again going to take a couple of moments to get it loaded, so that in the additional details you can let me click it once again. So you in the comment you can leave it like this, or you can change it to any of your desired name, and you have to give a proper description to it. And then again you have to do the same exercise for whatever number of parameters that you have added. You have to give a proper description to it, and description is a mandatory field. And finally, in the completion, this is most important. People keep on forgetting this. In the completion, in the advanced, don't forget to choose in the outputs. You have to select specific, not all of them. You have to choose specific, and otherwise it's going to take an infinite number of infinite time to get back to you with a response. Okay, so that's it. That is pretty much it. I'm not saving once again because as I was saying, I've already created a tool for pure receipt, submission and confirmation. I've created 3 tools already, so I'm just coming out of that, and you see I'm just saying exit anyway, and you would be able to see like the set of tools that I've already created. So let me take you to the action, how this is working. All right, so I am launching a test session and I'm just passing on a very simple prompt like this. I want you to create a purchase order for the vendor side, and this this legal entity, the line there, this is the line information, the item number should be this and quantity is this, and then I'm hitting enter, and obviously it's gonna take a couple of moments to get in touch with the MCP server to pass on the controls to the MCP server and let the MCP server find the correct tools, discover the correct tools for it, and opening the forms and all this. So allow it a couple of moments to come back. And yes, this is the purchase order that it has created, and it's asking me that do I want to add more lines to this purchase order, to which I'm saying no, I don't want. And then it's going to check like is the purchase order needs to be submitted for an approval. I have kept the, if I take you to the procurement and sourcing parameter, I have kept the activate change management as disabled, as no, so that would you like to confirm the purchase order? So it's saying that great news, the purchase order is already approved. Because of this change management, I have purposely kept it as disabled. So let's go to the next part of the action, which is the confirmation of the purchase order. So yes, I'm saying yes, I want to confirm the purchase order. So automatically it's going to grab the purchase order number that got generated, which is in our case is this, and it's automatically understanding the action name that it has to invoke, and it's waiting for the purchase order has got confirmed successfully. So if I come back to my purchase order, and if I open my purchase order by accounts payable, and if I accounts payable, all purchase orders, and if I am just going to grab the purchase order that actually was created, and let's see what's the state of the purchase order. So if I filter by the purchase order, and let's see what is the current status. So it should be in the confirmed state. So yes, it is in the confirmed state. So if I go to the purchase, I should be able to see my purchase order confirmation journals that has got created. So yes, and in the next step, it's asking like, would you like to receive the purchase order? If yes, please provide the packing slip ID. So I am saying yes, the packing slip. Okay, the packing slip ID is, I'm giving some number like this, and I'm hitting enter. So once this is generated, let's wait. Like once again, it should be able to grab the packing slip ID. That is, the packing slip ID is this, and the item number is this. I mean, the purchase order number is this. So it's saying the enter purchase order has been received, completely received successfully, processed successfully. It is a quick recap of what has accomplished. So if I go back to here and if I refresh this page, so it should be in a received state. So if I go to the receipt, you should be able to see the product receipts as well. So yes, that is pretty much it. And if I go back, and if I come down to here in my instructions, so it's very simple. If I click on this slash, it is showing me all the tools that I have created. So if I decrease the font size even a little bit, see, this is how you can add your added tools to it. You can also keep on adding any, just not this tool. You can also add any topic that you have created, any tool that you have created, any kind of flow that you have created, anything you can insert in your agentic instructions. And just not that, you can just pass on. Just if you write it manually also, like these are the inputs, parameters to your flow, to your tools, to your topics, it will be able to accept that. Just imagine this, guys. It's a drastic, it's a very fabulous development in the line of Copilot Studio. Just we don't need to pass it on like in our yesteryears, how we used to pass on our parameters to any function, to any methods. Just we are passing on that you get this value of the of the purchase order that you have obtained from the step 1 and you pass it on into step 2, or you pass it on in the step 3, then it is automatically going to take it forth. No need to pass it on manually, like how you used to do in your X++ code or your C# code. You don't need to do that explicitly. With that, I'm just winding up the discussion for today. Please let me know how it goes, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Much love, Suha.